EFC, and I'm going to be doing a code review of Maximus today. So, a little bit of background on me. I did my undergrad degree in computer science, so I actually had 4 internships while I was in college where I was a software developer intern, and I was able to code and do everything with these companies, which was super cool. And then once I graduated, I became a software developer, and I was a software developer for about a year and a half, and then decided to change, and I got an MBA and then went onto the business side of tech. So that is my credentials going into this, and I'm going to show you just what the code is. I'm going to be super simple, super straightforward, and we can go through the algorithms and everything. But also I'm going to explain just like the very basic things as well, because I know that a lot of people do not have a background in coding. And so I'm going to utilize my skills and show you kind of what I saw as I went through their code. So I came here to maximus.cash, and we have 3 days left if you see this right now. And we come in here and we're going to click on GitHub. So just so you know, if you don't already, GitHub is a repository where you're able to put your different projects. So it's awesome because it's a source control where you can go in and you can see all the different things that you are doing. And it makes it really easy to keep track of what you have going on. So GitHub, GitLab, they're all really cool websites because they allow for that. So you're going to click on that. Okay, and then we come into here and we see the page of the project for Maximus. Couple of things, if you've never looked at code before, something that's really important is something called a readme. Now, if you see a readme, always click on it, because the readme is not code. It is like a text document, basically, that goes over how to do specific things. So the README is very important, honestly, to anyone, whether you know how to code or whether you don't. It allows you to kind of understand what's going on without actually having to go into the code. Usually it also gives you a way to set up like the project, as well as a couple of other things, depending on who it is, who the project is like made by and stuff. So if we come into here, we have the README. It just tells you how to connect to Pulse Chain Testnet, get some test pulse, as well as how to swap it for hex. And then you're able to go in and then use the Maximus DAO DApp for that. All right, so here we have the way that you can also see the DApp front end. If we click this, I actually had to sign up for an account. Well, that just took me off the page. But you make a copy of it. So you make an account, you make a copy of it. This is in Python, so just FYI if you were curious. It will load, and it does bring up a little like test site thing. Perfect, right here. So you can come in, you can play with it. There's also the code of it, which is kind of cool. We're not going to go over that today, though, because that is not what I want to focus on. Okay. Definitely went out of that. Let's go back to GitHub, because before I show you the code, I want to go through just these different files. So we have 2 files. We have the API, which has different inputs, which we can see right here. And so what my guess is, so this is, like I said, all in Python. I don't have a ton of experience in Python. I did take one class that was Python, as well as I've done a couple of other like little projects. Nothing in the form of making a big project like this. Even though this actually like is not a big project, it's very small, which is awesome. Like, it's cool that they're able to do it so small. But if you look in here, we have these different variables. Now, what a variable is, I'm going to use this word a lot. What a variable is say like we have our username. Okay, yeah, let's do that. We have our username, and our username is a text string, right? Like we type in the characters, we type in letters from our alphabet, and that is put into a block where it's string, right? Like it's a string of letters that creates a word. So what a variable is it can be a string, it can be a number, it can be a decimal, it can be all sorts of things. There's lots of different variables that we have. And so what this is showing a list of variables. So like we have a list of different names, we have a list of different internal types, we have, if we scroll down, these are all predetermined things, so that if you go in and test, then it's already there, which is kind of cool. So I actually have not even gone through this. There's also a variable that's called a bool, which is a boolean, so it can only be true or false, which is kind of cool. And it kind of just depends on what language you're going through, what code you're going through. I guess right here we have the name, we also have the type, and these can all be determined beforehand. And then right here we have the uint256. I'm assuming, okay, this is a guess, so you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I'm pretty sure this is an unassigned integer, but it is an integer because it has the int in it. So it is some type of integer. So I do know that. Like this one is a uint8. Clearly this shows that I do not know Python extremely well, because something that is simple in that form, I don't even know. But going through the code, we're going to be able to see specific features and everything. Okay, so we've gone through the README, which was this. We've gone through the ABI. And now we can go into maximus.sol. Okay, I'm going to go off screen for this just because I like having the full screen to be able to read code. All right. This is so exciting. Thanks for coming along on this journey with me. It's fun going through this since I don't code right now, and it's fun to just, see what these different projects are doing. All right, so there are 274 lines of code. Okay, if you don't know anything about coding, or if you don't know anything about software, this is literally so, small, which is, like I said, so great, because it means that it's very concise, there's, no messing around, and something amazing is able to be done in such a short amount of code. Something else that I want to note before we go through this, I did run through this one time before filming this, because I wanted to, be able to call out anything that I saw without just, doing it right on the spot. Is this code is documented so well. And I can't tell you how big of a deal that is, because a lot of code has no comments, no feedback, nothing. And within this, as we go through it, I'm going to read you guys a lot of the English language of what's typed into this, not the programming language, which is awesome. So let's start. Up here, we have the imports. So these are different libraries that we're able to grab different information from. So they're importing all these different ones. I do not know anything about these, but I do know that they are grabbing information from these different, it looks like contracts for different things for ERC20, as well as just maybe this is a normal math function, and then they have a security one. So super normal. We have this Hedron contract, and so within the Hedron contract it has different functions, and this is a really easy way to quickly spell out some code where you're able to get information, return information just within one line. And that's something that's really cool about Python, is it allows you to do that pretty easily. I mean, there's a lot going on just even within line 10, but because the function that's called approve grabs the address as the spender as well as the amount, and then it returns a true or false. So it's cool. And when I say true and false, I know it's a true and false because it's a Boolean. Like I said earlier, Booleans can only return true or false. Down here, it's going to return that uint256. So just keeping that in mind. And something with the uint, the 256 has something to do with the memory. I don't want to say anything just since I don't know exactly, but just so you know, it does have something to do with the memory of it. So I think it might be able to have the length of it be that long, or the memory. Anyways, doesn't matter for what we're doing right now. It's just the variable name for that. So this is pretty cool. We have the Hedron token, and we also have the hex token. I think that's something that's great about Maximus, is not only are you getting hex, but you're also able to do the minting of the Hedron, and we'll get into that further down. All right, and then we also have the hex token, and so it has functions in it like current day, stake start, approve, transfer, stake end, stake count. I do want to mention something super quick. Let's go like this. Okay, so what a function is. A function is like a group of code where it's able to do one specific thing. And the thing is like technically you could have all your code in one function, which is not a good idea because then it gets all jumbled. But it's a really good way to break things down and get them organized. So like in here under the hex token, we have the current day, which is returned. And so you grab that current day, and then that's the only function that function does. So thinking of it as like a literal sense, like I want this thing to function this way. That's what a function is within coding. So back to the code. But just FYI. Okay, Maximus. So like I said, they are so well documented. Like look at this. Also, the 274 lines of code have a ton of like comments in it like this, which means that like it's not even 274 lines of code. So pretty great on their part. I did read through all of this. If you're coming in and looking at this yourself, definitely come in and look at it too. Because there's a lot of information. Also, if you don't know, like as you can see this word's cut off, just scroll to the right and you'll be able to see all of the comments. And they're pretty long, so I don't want to read it through all of this. But Maximus is a contract for trustlessly pooling a single max length hex stake. So in all, like that's what we need to know, right? Okay, let's get into the code. So we have another contract right here. Maximus is ERC20, ERC20 burnable, and entrancy guard. So heck yeah, look at this. We were just talking about different variables, and all of these right here are different variables. So this is the variable type, uint 256, and this is its name. So as we go through the code, we are going to see these different names, which is awesome. So these are all where they're instantiated. What instantiated means is where it is initially defined. So as you can see, we have the type, we have the name, but nothing's being assigned to it yet. And if we come down here to line 79, we have this constructor that comes in and assigns all these different values, which is awesome. So right here we have the start day. And if we were to go up above, which we can, and we look here. Oh, let's see. It actually does not say here. I was going to say it will show us the start date, but maybe it's somewhere else that I was looking in the code. Oh, duh. It's on line 80. Okay, so right here we have start day. See, it's instantiated with the type. We have our name, and then it grabs the current day of the hex token, and then it assigns it to the minting phase start. So that's super cool. And then we have the minting phase end. So we have our start day plus the mint duration. I'm sure that value is either set up above or it's given. Oh, it's given to us. See? Okay, so this is something that's kind of cool too. So right here we have parameters that are coming into the constructor. So we're given the stake duration as well as the mint duration, which means that those values are going to come in, and so we can just automatically assign them. And we are doing that on line 82 in the minting phase end. Sweet. All right, so we have that, and then we have all these other things. We have the hex redemption rate, we have hedron redemption rate, and hex and maxi are 1-to-1 convertible up until the stake is initiated. No hedron is redeemable until minting has occurred. Wonderful. All right, so we're going to scroll down a little bit, and here is one of those comments that I was talking about. So view number of decimal places the maxi token is divisible to. And so in this specific function, that's what happens. They go in and they determine that. We have some of our variables again. So these are address types. So we have our maxi address, grabs that. We have our hex address. We have our hedron address. And those are hard-coded right there. And then look, we also have these different variables that are being set. They're being named and then they're being set. Okay, and then this is kind of where we get into the actual functionality of Maximus. So we had to go through all of that to be able to utilize things like this. Like I was saying, like, look how cool this is. This is one line of code, and it literally gets the minting phase start day. Also, if one from Maximus is watching this, you guys named your functions very well. I'm very impressed because I think naming things is probably the hardest part of this whole thing. The hardest part about coding. So this returns the hex day that the minting phase started, and then return hex day that the minting phase started. Wonderful. We have the get minting phase day end, literally what it says. Read the comment above even. We get our stake start day, we get our stake end day, and then we get our hex redemption rate, as well as the hedron redemption rate. And just to show you, up here is where those were set. We have the hedron, hex redemption rate, all of these things. So it comes in here, up here, and grabs that information, which is cool because those are variables that are available to them. All right, now we're moving on to maybe a little bit more difficult code, just because it's not one line, which is fine. Usually functions aren't one line. All right, so returns the current hex day. Awesome. So just comes in, grabs that current day. Same with the hedron day, and then get end staker. So returns the address of the person who ends stake, maybe used by external gas pooling contracts. Awesome. And then maxi, mints maxi. So you guys, when you mint it, this is literally the function right here that gets called. Like, I did this the other day, and that's what got called. All right, pledge hex. So, also, this is something, if you have done this, or if you are going to do this, this is the code that's going to be ran, is this function right here, if you're going in and pledging that hex. So, what it does is it takes the amount that you put in, and then it's going to check two things. So, these two requires are just checking, is the minting phase done? And if it is, then it's going to display this message. Is the hex contract up? Please approve contract address is allowed spender in the hex contract. So those are two checks. And then what it does is it takes your amount, see? Amount, and it puts it into that hex contract, and then it goes in and gives this function, mint, your amount. So if you see, let's go over that again. So mint is a function, and we can call functions within other functions, which is super cool. So down here, we called the mint function, and we're able to go in and send it the amount. Also, current day is probably one of the functions up here. Yep. And so that's awesome. So you go in, do that, and that's how you mint it. It's literally what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines of code to go in and pledge your hex and then mint it. How wonderful. Okay, none of us have done this function yet, just because we're not at that 15-year mark. So what happens is ensures that it's currently a redemption period and that the user has at least the number of maxi they entered. Then it calculates how much they may be redeemed, burns the maxi, and transfers them the hex. Sweet. And something that I really like is sometimes when there's like a little bit more like algorithmic stuff, like in this one, they put comments in here, so you kind of know what's going on. So it's like, this is to round the integer. All right, and so these are the two functions of how you pledge your hex and then how you get it back. So this is right now for the next couple days, and then this is in 15 years once we get them back. Okay, and then we come into the staking function. Also, I'm just going to do a little scroll to the bottom. This is how much code we have left to go through. Like, it's not a lot. Okay, staking functions. Anyone may run these functions during the allowed time, so long as they pay the gas. So that's good to know. And while nothing is forcing you to, gracious Maximus members will tip the sender more ETH for paying gas to end your stake. Awesome. Okay, so this function right here, stake hex, it ensures that the stake has not started yet, that the minting phase is over. Then it stakes all the hex in the contract and schedules the stake end day, which is important because there needs to be a stake end day, right? And there is, but there needs to be one in Maximus. All right, so just a couple of call outs here. We have the require. So if that doesn't work, then it's going to put out this. So if has stake started is false, then the stake has already been started. So we don't need to continue. Now we are assigning the current day, a current day function. And then we require also that minting phase is still ongoing, see minting phase end day. So the minting phase has to be done to be able to do this, to be able to stake. And then we grab that amount again. And so that's whatever amount you put in. And then has the stake started, true, sets that to true. And then it grabs the current day, which is defined up here on line 208. And then it's going to put the end stake day. So it takes the stake length, which is predefined. Okay. Now, this is kind of cool. We are coming in and we are able to call other functions. So see on line 211 how stake hex, that amount is put into that function, because stake hex is a function that we can see right here on 216. This is where that is actually shown. Also, something coding wise is functions can be private. They can also be public or external. And the private ones are ones that only the code can see, whereas the external ones are more global. So in this sense, where this stake hex is calling within, it's okay to have that as a private one. And it looks like the end stake hex is also a private one. And I think this one's called below. Yep, it is. Down here on 232. Okay, so you can stake hex. You can also end your stake. So ensures that the stake is fully complete and that it is not already been ended. Then it ends the hex stake and updates the redemption rate. Sweet. So I thought this was funny. This may be very expensive to end it, which is good that they put it in as a notice. So we know that. But yeah, it comes in here. It requires these two things. If it's not complete, it's not going to continue on in the code. If it's, let's see, has stake started, true, has stake ended, false. So it's saying that the stake has been started, but it's not ended yet. And then we come in and we call the function up here, which is on 220. And we give them the stake index, which is an integer, as well as the stake ID parameter. A lot of things within code all have IDs, because that's a really good way to track it and not have to like look it up from specific things. So there's that. And like I said above, like it comes in and it sets those specific rates. All right, and then if we come down here a little bit more, oh look, when it comes down and when it calculates that redemption rate, it comes in to this function and then actually calculates it. So if you wanted to look at the math, it's right here, which is kind of cool. Okay, and then we're going to come back down. And I think I said this earlier in the video. It's really awesome that if you do mint maxi against your liquid hex, you're able to come in. You also get like the hedron rewards, right? And so in here, this calls mint hedron, the mint hedron function, which is right here. And then it's used for minting available hedron accumulated by the contract stake and updating the hedron redemption rate. Awesome. Okay, so a couple of things that I took away from that. They honestly, I feel like, have done really well with their code. It's very straightforward. I mean, I don't even really know Python, and I was able to come in and be able to walk through it with you. So that's something that's awesome. They're very straightforward, very well documented, which is a very good sign, just looking at it. And yeah, Maximus is a cool project. So like I showed you before, this is not financial advice. Like, you do what you want. You go in, you do your own research. But I just wanted to give a code review because I thought it would be something fun for me to do, as well as maybe something that you could be interested in too. But it has 3 days, 6 hours left. So if you are interested in it, you're going to need to get on it, because there's a possibility that this will never be available again, even though there is a little bit of talk that it might be. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below, like and subscribe, and also let me know if you liked this type of video. I would be happy to continue doing code reviews. But everyone have a great day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.